All right, welcome back to Shifting Schools. I am so pumped that Tricia and I get to do our summer catch-up series. Tricia and I have not really been, I don't know, when's the last time we even were on a call together? A
It's
month?
it's it's been at least a month,
At
yeah.
least a month between vacations and work and vacations. So this is a catch-up episode on everything we've been geeking out on this summer. And I want to start with you. If people have been following the newsletter, they know all about your pumpkin patch. But for people that Tricia's pumpkin patch might be a new thing. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing with your pumpkins?
I love this question. Thank you, Jeff, for it. And I think this is like also an example of what makes our partnership. Like I've worked with you for now 5
I
years, I
know, isn't that
realized.
crazy?
And I think like you and I are just curious people, and I think curious people are great together. So the pumpkin patch in the city of Ottawa where I live, they changed the bylaw where the boulevard, this is like your section of grass between the street and the sidewalk,
Yeah, yeah.
you can plant in it now.
Nice.
But
What was
that
it
is
before? Was it just rocks or just grass or
just grass, but
weed?
also a lot of weeds
Yeah, yeah.
because, Ottawa gets a lot of snow. So
Hmm.
then that's where all of the salt and the
Yeah.
snow goes. So I was like, okay, what can I plant here? And I kind of always wanted to plant a pumpkin patch. Was not sure is it going to work. I did, of course, use generative AI to give me some pointers. Jeff, this thing took off and was like the hot topic in my neighborhood. I
Awesome.
made so many local buddies because of this. It was unreal. And so many people were asking me questions. And because the bylaw changed, some people were like, is she breaking the law?
Yeah.
But also, how do you do this? And so I made a bespoke GPT bot called Dr. Pumpkin. I printed out a QR code so that if I wasn't out there, people could scan and ask a few questions. And a lot of people did,
Oh,
which was
very cool.
so much fun.
Oh, very cool. What a great, I love that for we start thinking about where AI is going to go in community building. What a simple way to use AI, just a QR code that goes to a bespoke bot. You built it on ChatGPT. I'm going to take it. That's kind
That's
of your
right. Yep.
platform. Um, and people get to interact with understanding why you're growing this pumpkin there and have an AI companion to support them in their own learning about what the changes in bylaws and how this. So good news. We are recording this in early September. Are you going to have a pumpkin ready for Halloween?
Uh, Jeff, I've already had 20 pumpkins. I've given them
Wow.
away.
Okay.
And there are a few more
Okay.
coming.
All
So
right.
yeah, like it actually worked.
Oh,
If
good.
you have been
Congratulations.
dreaming of making a pumpkin patch, this is your sign from the universe to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, like and
Awesome.
but what I want to point out is, sometimes we talk about like, oh, technology keeps people apart.
Yeah.
Uh, it does not have to.
It doesn't have
And
to.
I
Yeah.
would say this is a great challenge in your school. What is something that you could use generative AI specifically to build community,
Mm,
to have people who don't ordinarily chat to each other have a conversation?
yeah.
This is just one example,
I
right?
love
There's
it.
so many different
I
ways.
love it. It's so good. It's so good. Um, the other thing I want to catch up on is you also built your first app using you vibe coded your first app. It's in the App Store. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about some good learning over the summer.
Yeah, I really geeked out hard this summer. So Jeff, I'm at that age where I care about gut microbiome
Yes, don't we all
health.
now?
Yes,
Drink your
it.
daily kombucha, do you?
I do. Um, and you're supposed to get a big array of fruit, vegetable, herb, spices,
Yeah.
and I wanted a way to keep track of that. So I'm like, well, what if I build a little app and it encourages me to do that? I don't know how to code an app, but there is this thing called vibe coding. For folks that don't know, you're basically using a tool like ChatGPT to write the code for you. And so, yeah, I used ChatGPT to write the code. I copy pasted it. But also, Jeff, I didn't even know the process of submitting an app for the App
Mm,
Store. It took me through that. Did it get it perfectly every time? No. But here's what I did: screenshot.
yeah.
This isn't working. Can you rewrite
Yeah.
the
This
code?
is the error code I have. Yeah.
This is it. Fix it.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, yes, it did take me. I would say about a weekend,
Mm.
but it's in the App Store. I'm using it. Hopefully my gut microbiome is thankful
It's getting
for it.
better.
But like I love sharing this example because it's sort of like, what is an app that
Yeah.
you want to develop just for your family?
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are like, well, why would I design a thing just for me or my family?
Yeah.
Jeff, do you know how much Wordle sold for? You know, the inventor of Wordle, how New York Times acquired it? Do you
Yeah.
know?
No, have no clue.
7 figures.
No way.
Yes, 7 figures. And the person that created Wordle did it for his partner.
Yeah.
Just for like when he initially created that, it was just
Yeah.
for one person.
Yeah. Yeah. You just don't know.
So, New
You
York
just don't
Times,
know.
if you want to acquire my app,
A small 7 figures. Well, and you just let me know anybody from the New York Times listening to this. That's Tricia at shiftingschools.com. Feel free to reach out. New app on being able to make sure
yes.
the microbiomes in your gut are all stable. So that's great.
But Jeff, your summer, I feel like at no point did I talk to you and you were in the same location than
Yeah.
when I talked to you the time before that. So your summer, I'm guessing, went by super
It
fast.
went by super fast. Yeah, it was insane, which is a good thing. I always tell people who want to become consultants, because I support others that want to try to get into this too. I said you basically get two ways. You either can be broke or you can be busy, and you get to decide which way you want to be. And so yes, it was a very busy summer, which I love. I just love being able to support. Usually I'm doing opening keynotes for schools. And so I started the end of July in Alabama, and then that just rolled right in through August. Probably the highlight this year is I got to go back and be the opening keynote for the high school that I graduated from, the school district that both my both my parents were 30-year veterans of. I was raised for that district. I mean, even before I went to high school, we did not, because my dad was a high school teacher, we did not miss a basketball game, a football game from the time I was like 6. I mean, and it was the first place I got my job. And so I even remember sitting in the stands as a very first year teacher next to my dad, who was still teaching at the time, uh, and sitting in this exact same gym that I'm now the one giving the keynote for those teachers. Right?
That's
It was such a
emotional.
special moment. Yeah, I got pretty choked up for about the first 5 minutes
I
before I got
bet. Yeah, I'm
rolling
getting
into
like
it.
choked up just
Oh
hearing you
God,
talk about
it
it.
was so good. My dad has since passed, and so there was just a lot of stuff in there. But yeah, very very cool. But yeah, just short of 3,000 miles, 2,800 miles on the car, 2 trips around the state of Washington, 6 ferry rides, and just a lot of great conversations. So it was really good. I think one of the things I was going to just kind of talk about is, we were just talking about, we did another episode that you'll hear later, but one of the things we're focused on is, especially with the AI stuff, is everybody's saying like, well, we don't know what the jobs are. We don't know what the jobs are. And I just keep saying, well, we've never known what the jobs are. You never knew what the jobs are. What you can focus in though is on what are those skills. And the World Economic Forum came out in this year, the 2025 skills, and they're looking at, I love that the World Economic Forum has even, they've started to pare them down, that they're just like, this list is only good for 3 years because this stuff is moving so quickly. But here's the list of skills that are needed for the next 5 years. Get ready for this. Analytical thinking, number 1. Do you know how you write an AI prompt? You think through what are the steps. It is analytical thinking as prompt engineering, because you are thinking through step. First, I need to give it a persona. Then next is this. Next is this. And you are analyzing your own writing as you're going through it. Anyway, analytical thinking is number 1. Resilience, flexibility, and agility is number 2. Leadership and social influence, number 3. Creative thinking, number 4. Motivational and self-awareness. Motivation and self-awareness is number 5. Technology literacy, number 6. Empathy and active listening, number 7. And curiosity and lifelong learning. None of those are new skills, Tricia. There's nothing in there that we would say, oh, I didn't teach that last year. What changes is the way that we focus on those skills. We can talk about analytical thinking, but we need to be thinking about analytical thinking in the world of AI. We need to be thinking about critical thinking in the world of AI. We need to be talking about motivation and self-awareness in the world of AI. That's the world that we're headed into. Whether you want to or not, you are going to be drug into this world. That list hasn't changed. What we have to do in education is understand that that list needs to be folded into a new way of teaching those things, right? And the story I kept talking about, because this is what happens when adults go through transitions, is one of the things that makes this time so hard is that we're trying to figure out what skills do we take forward with us into a new era. And every time we go through one of these, that's the biggest thing is like we mourn letting go of these skills that were important to me as a 49-year-old male, because I needed to have those skills in the 80s and the 70s and the 90s. And I don't know if every skill that I had is going to be a skill that the next generation has. But we all hold on to these as if that we've got a death grip on these things, right? And I think back to, I remember when my grandfather was alive, my grandfather never sharpened a pencil with a pencil sharpener. He always sharpened a pencil with his pocket knife. And I asked him, I said, where did you learn to do this? He's like, third grade. In third grade, we were taught how to sharpen a pencil with a knife. And that's how you sharpen pencils. That was a skill that we taught kids. I don't know if we teach third graders to sharpen pencils with a knife anymore. And I'm going to guess we don't, because other technologies have come along. And at some point we decided, right or wrong, we decided that that is a skill that third graders no longer need. And that's tragic in some senses. In other senses, it might be safer. I don't know. Right. But when we're going through transitions, part of what just the struggle is, and I just want people to stay in the struggle, and it's okay to mourn the loss that I don't need to know what a hanging participle is anymore because I've got generative AI. I don't know. So that's kind of been the focus, that and generational leadership, which has always been the keynote that went over really well this year. But from an AI sense, this is the struggle that I find that we're in right now, is just trying to figure out, okay, what do I let go of and where do I go? And we're in a mourning stage. For depending on your age, you're mourning more than others. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think being really transparent about that is useful because I think, you mentioned self awareness being one of those key
Yeah.
skills. It does remind you, well, this was important to me. And it's not important necessarily to someone who's born today.
Yeah.
And both of those things can be true at the same time, but we need to recognize in education that our self bias of what we think is important, it shows up
Yeah.
in lots of different ways. So you got to practice addressing it. I'm really glad that you shared that example. Jeff, your work with generations, I think also ties into a lot of those different skill sets. One of them being the self-awareness. And I know
Yeah.
you've got like lots of fun things that you point out. In closing, somebody who's like, "What?
Yeah.
Generational awareness understanding. Why would I invite Jeff to come and talk about that?" Can you just share like one little snippet that you often share that people are like, "Oh, I didn't I hadn't thought about it in that
Mm,
way." Does
yeah.
something come to mind?
Yeah, and I think a part of it is that it comes back to kind of when I'm talking about this. It's our perspectives, and our perspectives are shaped by the time period that you grew up in. And that has so much to do with everything. And the generational talk that I'm doing is really more about adults learning to work together. Like, how do I work with some of these kids in their 20s, and how do I work with people if I'm in my 20s? How do I work with people in their 50s? Like, there's this struggle here. And part of that struggle is knowing yourself, knowing how you were raised. And the educational system plays into this in a lot of different ways. One of the things that I find very fascinating, us as Gen Xers, those of us born between 1964 and 1980, we like to work alone. But we also like to work alone because our schooling, there was no such thing as group work. Our schooling was before the whole collaboration movement, jigsaw. Like, we didn't do any of that. Like, when you worked with other people, it was called cheating. You were told to go home, do your assignment, do it by yourself, and get it done. That's how we were raised. Versus a generation that it's all collaborative learning. And so we become adults, and all of a sudden we're adults, and I don't want to do collaborative learning because that's not the way I know work gets done, versus a generation that is saying, yeah, but we always make team decisions. No, we don't. I've made every decision for myself my entire life. I don't make team decisions. with a generation that says, oh, everything's a team decision. We need to talk about it. We need to set up a subcommittee about it. And you're just like, oh my gosh. But these are the generational perspectives we bring then to our workplace, we bring to our team meetings, that can have a lasting impact on understanding how do we work together as, in my case, the fourth grade team, right? We have to understand those about each other. And then we talk about what does this mean for the generations that are in our schools and why they are the way they are, why we see chronic absenteeism at an all-time high has to do with the way that their parents were raised, has nothing to do with the kids. That's a parent issue. And we go into that kind of stuff as well. And it can all come back to our education system. So in closing, we both are on the road. I head out to Budapest. I'm excited to spend a week at the American International School of Budapest, working on AI stuff. That's one of my big trips coming up. Where are you headed off to?
I'm headed to Brazil next week, and this is like so geeky, but I'm so excited that geographically it's a huge trip, but time zone wise, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
one
not.
hour difference. Yay.
That's so great. That's so great. All right, Tricia. Well, it was great catching up with you. Really appreciate it. And we're trying to do more episodes where it's just you and me. So hopefully people enjoy this. And I'll see you. I'll see you next time we get time to record.
See you soon, Jeff. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Jeff and I have a special offer on for you that's only available for a limited time. And we're hoping that this is going to help bridge grandparents in your school community into this AI conversation. We know that schools thrive when every generation feels connected to what's changing. And we know that grandparents want to understand the changes that AI is bringing to their grandchild's world. That's why we developed Angela for Grandfriends. This is a 5-week challenge that blends learning with belonging. It'll help grandparents feel confident, included, and a part of the school community. For a limited time, for just $750, Shifting Schools takes care of everything. All we would need from you is the email list, your start date, and we'll get up to 100 of your school's grandparents set up to learn and grow together. If you're curious to learn more, you can reach out to us at info@shiftingschools.com. You can learn more about the 5-week challenge by heading over to the show notes. Thanks for tuning in.